We now turn to a Republican colleague of Senator Warner's on the Intelligence Committee, Maine Senator Susan Collins. Senator, what do you make of what President Trump has said about these wiretaps? Should he be talking about this on Twitter? Is this helpful?
It would be more helpful if he turned over to the Intelligence Committee any evidence that he has. What we need to deal with is evidence, not just statements. At this point, I've seen no evidence of what he's alleged, but I've also not seen collaboration, as Director D.N.I. Clapper also said today that he had not seen evidence of collaboration. But we are in the very early stages of our investigation, and this is why it is so important that we do an in-depth, exhaustive, bipartisan, independent investigation, because the American people deserves answers to all of these allegations and counter allegations so that we can get on with the business of this country.
The president has said, and the White House has said, they're not going to talk anymore about his accusations over the weekend. But now that he's put that out there, he's the president of the United States. He has access to this information, even if he might have been going off of a news report. He has access to all of this information. Do you think it's important for him now to put forward this evidence in some form to back up his claims, because it's now out there? And people might think because he's the president, he has some special understanding. In other words, not wait until the committee is done with its work, but that does he have an obligation to present some kind of evidence now that he's put this charge out there about President Obama?
The president has called for congressional investigations into the allegations that he made starting yesterday morning. So I would expect that he's going to want to provide our committee with any evidence that he has. My own theory is that the Russians are determined to sow the seeds of discontent and doubt about the legitimacy of our democracy and other Western democracies, and that they were going to do that regardless of who was elected president. So it's really important, so that we know what happened and what the facts are, that we get to the bottom of this.
When you say he'll provide the committee with information, but do you think he owes something to the public now that he's kind of thrown this out there and now isn't going to say any more about it, but now it's out there, it's live? Does he owe the public something more than what he owes the committee? Just as a matter of what Senator Sass said, it was a matter of public trust. Do you agree with that?
It would probably be helpful if he gave more information, but it also might be helpful if he just didn't comment further and allowed us to do our work. The committee's work is underway. I am convinced that we are going to do the kind of exhaustive, in-depth, and prompt investigation that will help put these allegations to rest, one way or the other.
You mentioned going through everything, and I want to ask you about the President Trump's tax returns, because some people believe in order to really figure out whether there was any influence on the president, you have to know whether there were any ties to Russia. You've said that the committee will perhaps subpoena the tax returns if necessary. Do you think a committee investigation that ends without looking at the tax returns has fulfilled its duty, that the committee will have fulfilled its duty?
It's premature for me to reach that conclusion right now. What I am convinced of, because I know this committee well and I know how seriously we take this charge, is that we'll go wherever the evidence leads us and that we will get all of the information that we need. If that includes President Trump's tax returns, then I have confidence that we will ask for them. If we don't need them in order to reach our conclusions, then we won't. But it's too soon to tell.
But will you come up with a sort of a hunting list in terms of all the places you would want inquiry, and wouldn't the tax returns be a pretty high up on the list in terms of that?
Let's see where the evidence leads us. We're just now beginning to have access, as Senator Warner mentioned, to the information that the intelligence community has. Like Senator Warner, I'll be going over to review that information. It's many binders thick. So let's see where the evidence leads us.
Let me ask you a question quickly on the Affordable Care Act. You've put forward an alternative or a bill. Where do things stand in the Republican ranks in terms of a replacement for the Affordable Care Act?
There is not a consensus. This is very difficult to achieve the president's goals and the goals that many of us have of wanting to expand access to coverage and have a damper on the prices. We've seen a lot of problems with the individual markets in a death spiral in many states under the ACA. So the irony here is, regardless of who was elected president, we were going to have to do major repairs on the ACA. I've put forth a plan with Senator Cassidy, who is a physician, that is a comprehensive plan that gives states the options of doing what is best for their citizens, and which we believe would actually expand access to health insurance. That's our goal, but there is not a consensus at this point.
Very quickly, how long do you think it'll take to get to consensus? Is this a few little minor details, or are we still talking about the big, complicated business of something that takes up 18% of the economy?
It is very complicated, and we shouldn't rush it. We need to get this right.
All right, Senator Collins, thanks so much for being with us.